Hello, it is July 25th and it is 10:34 a.m. There are first of all, before we even start, there are certain things that I need for people to know about, okay? Today is July 25th. This is 6:58 a.m. and this is the booking.com that Kelly always uses. The same exact ad, 7:09 a.m. this morning, okay? The same ad with the Caucasian girl in the braids, and then you've got the gutter guards, obviously, okay, and the same product commercial where the girl is tearing a page out of the journal from this morning, okay, and then 8:20 a.m. same product commercial. Yeah, so there it is for Kelly. She's still running after me like a gold digger. Okay, I'm sick and tired of it, but that's not what I'm making this video about. The thing that I need to make the video about is the fact that a lot of these people are saying one thing and doing something totally different. For instance, you have my dad, the Greedy Framer. My dad, the Greedy Framer, out of extreme envy, says about me that my brain savant doesn't exist or it doesn't have any potential to it. The thing that the courts really need to understand is that the people who are liars and deceivers are seen from their behaviors going contradictory to their statements. So first of all, my dad, the Greedy Framer, has lied about every single thing so far. He lied about November 20th that he begged his Framer sisters and law enforcement to fabricate against me. He lied about early January false testimonies that he had planned out with his Framer sisters from before. Sometime in 2025, he got together with his Framer sisters and planned out those lies only because artificial intelligence had marked my brain savant as being the most rare and profitable in the world. My dad, the Greedy Framer, got extremely envious of the fact that my mother would get the money. He knew that me and him never got along and that he's really like selfish and greedy, and that the only reason he'd be running after me would be due to money, due to which he had subsequent lies planned out with his Framer sisters. What he didn't know was the only reason the courts were letting him narrate was due to the fact that they wanted to test to see if he had these lies planned out. Because if he did, then that would mean that these people, like my dad, the Greedy Framer, and his Framer sisters, got together in order to make all these lies. The court found out that they did, in fact, get together and make all these lies, mainly due to the fact that his Framer sister, Ibrahim's envious mother, had told the government informant that these lies were planned out from before, which the government, so the courts let him speak again, and so those lies came right out of his mouth, showing to the court from facts and evidences that this man was planning this from before with lies due to the fact that artificial intelligence had marked my brain savant as being the most rare and profitable in the world. He wanted to make sure that my mother could not get any of the money. The third set of lies that he made were in early April 2026, and those were also complete and total lies that he made very aggressively while abusing every single person in court. So basically, and so complete and total lies. But the thing that the courts have to look at is that a person who is psychotic, who is basically a liar, pathological liar, their actions would go contradictory to their words. So now the entire year of 2025, he was running after me like a crazy lunatic, only due to the fact that he knew about the brain savant and that artificial intelligence had marked it as the most rare and profitable in the world. The fact that every single time he was caught lying, he would always go after the money is how we can prove it very easily. So basically, when a person is caught lying, so basically on November 20th, 2025, my dad, the Greedy Framer, was caught lying to the court by claiming that he had nothing to do with that false testimony, even though the facts and evidences showed that he begged law enforcement to give his own Framer sisters that false testimony against me. That exact moment, he is caught and kicked out of the witness stand on December 29th, 2025, at 1:27 p.m., that exact moment when he's kicked out of that witness stand, he asked law enforcement for what? He immediately calls law enforcement and he says, send him the money transfer ads for Rhea. He said, send him the money transfer ads for Rhea, see if I get any of the brain savant money or not. So that clearly shows us that the entire reason for why he was enviously trying to make all these false testimonies against me before December 29th was mainly due to the fact that he was scared that my mother would get the money and he would not. On December 29th at 1:27 p.m., that exact moment when he's kicked out of the witness stand, the first thing that this psycho pathological liar does is he calls law enforcement immediately and he says, send him the money transfer ads, see if he's going to give me any of the money or not. Obviously, my answer was no. Then he begs the court all day and night long, please let me narrate, please let me narrate. Why was he begging the courts? Mainly because he had more subsequent lies that he had already planned out with his Framer sisters. That what he didn't know was, so basically the reason was that he thought that these lies would get wasted if he wasn't able to narrate in court with these lies. He practiced a lot on his free time, putting it through his mind over and over again in order to narrate in the trial against me. Now that he was kicked out of the trial at December 29th, the reason I know he was kicked out on December 29th, 2025, exactly 1:27 p.m. is because he sent me those money transfer ads at that exact moment to try to check to see what the chances of him being able to benefit from it were. So basically, yeah. Now, the thing about it is, he's given a second try. This time, the courts are just checking to see if these lies that the government informant was told that his Framer sisters had planned out from before, was he part of this plan or not? So the courts basically let him narrate again, this time to check to see. And now he says, I know December 29th was a lie. I mean, November 20th was a lie. But these statements that I'm about to make are really truthful and honest. And Hassan committed another crime that we know about, that my Framer sisters saw him commit. And this crime that Hassan almost committed. So basically, he went in for another crime that he started claiming that his Framer sisters witnessed me commit. The second time he's begging the courts in order to make narrations against me in my trial. So basically, this time the courts find out that these lies that his Framer sisters had told the government informant before November 20th as being complete and total lies were also all planned out from before. Yeah, so basically these lies, the government, the courts basically listened to these lies for a couple weeks before they let him know on the night of December 10th that we know these are lies. Obviously, the government was not born yesterday. They're not going to let people that think they're really slick play with their country's national security, use the fear of people doing bad things in order to lock up my brain savant, only to make sure that no one can profit off of my brain savant that he knows he's not going to get any money out of. Despite artificial intelligence labeling my brain savant as literally the most rare and profitable in the world. So basically, yeah. How do I know that he was told on February 10th, 2026 that the courts knew that these second set of lies were absolute, complete, and total lies? How do I know this? I know this due to the fact that on February 11th, right after midnight, he texted me, and the text reads at 12:22 a.m. It reads, "So nice to hear from you after so long." The reason this psychopath is texting me 22 minutes past midnight is due to the fact that he knows that he's been caught, and the courts have just told him that he's been caught lying for the second time. Okay, and he wants to get illegal assurances of that money. Obviously, literally, I was watching TV and I just picked up my phone. I looked on there. The text said, "So nice to hear from you after so long." At 12:22, I put my phone down and I'm just like, oh, so that's what happened. Basically, what happened was he was told by the courts that we know these are lies because the government informant, basically the government informant was told by his Framer sisters that these were lies, and they already knew about it. The only reason they were letting him narrate was due to trying to find out if he had planned this out with his Framer sisters or not, or whether he was just doing whether his Framer sisters planned this lie out on their own. It turns out they had all planned it out together to enviously lock up my brain savant. The lies that his Framer sisters told the government informant were complete and total lies that they had basically planned out from before. So now these lies are caught. What does he do on February 11th? On February 11th at 3:17 a.m., my dad, the greedy Framer, sends me a porn star named Sunny Leone's picture with his sister Farah's name on it, only to try to see if I would commit incest with her in exchange for illegal assurances of money. And then at 3:56 a.m., he sends me a picture of a woman resembling his disgusting, ugly old sister, Ibrahim's envious mother, to try to see if I would commit incest with her or not. This man had gone crazy over money. He knew that he was caught for the second time with his lies, and he knew that my brain savant would get freed. He knew he could not make narrations anymore. He was willing to sell his own sisters for my brain savant money, the same one that he would make fun of right now or make jokes about. Yeah. So basically, yeah. So the entire month of March, February and March afterwards, all these people do is send me illegal blackmail price tags for millions of euros coming from him and his two sisters. For the greedy farmer and the spokesperson's envious mother would send me blackmail price tags for millions of dollars. Mainly, their main and most recurring one was $60 million that his two sisters would send me over and over again from Florida all day, every day, at least 8 times. So basically, yeah, these people should not be taken for their word. You have to look at their actions, and they were all over money. When they saw that I had no intention of giving a single penny to anyone, they went back in, and he aggressively started making lies against me in early April 2026, only to try to lock up my brain savant that he knew that he could not get any money out of. Now, it's not just this. You have to also look at the fact that other actions that he committed. So basically, after December 29, 2025, this psychopath, my dad, the greedy farmer, starts having law enforcement put father-son ads on my TV all day and night long. And then when he calls me on February 2nd, on the 2nd of February 2026, first he apologizes, and then he sweet talks me the entire time. So basically, I was forced to call him on the morning of February 2nd because the psychopath would not stop with the father-son ads all day, night long. Basically, he knew about the money, and he was scared that my mother would get the money because he had already been caught lying one time with November 20th, 2025, which was a major false testimony. And so basically what ended up happening is this psychopath on February 2nd calls me back after harassing me all day and night long with father-son ads. He sweet talks me the entire conversation, calling me by my baby name, asking me if I could go fix his doorbell or not. And then as soon as I hang up the phone on February 2nd, 2026, I write in my journal right away that this man who was sweet talking me on February 2nd, 2026, immediately hung up the phone, and he immediately called court in a rage of anger. Your courts have to understand the fact that the man who was sweet talking me on February 2nd, and I had no way of knowing that he called the courts in a rage of anger. Like, how and why would he call the courts in such a rage of anger? Like, and first of all, and the second question is, how did I know this, that he would do this? And how did I know this to the point that I typed it up in my journal right away that he would do this, despite him sweet talking me the entire conversation on February 2nd? How is that even possible? For one, he's sweet talking me the entire time, calling me by my baby name, saying that it was he was sorry he couldn't pick up right away. Then he after apologizing, he tries to sweet talk me with my baby name, asked me if I could go fix his doorbell, and then till the end, he's sweet talking me the entire time. As soon as I hang up, the second question is, how did I know that he was going to call the courts in a rage of anger to claim that I was a very bad person? How did I know this? Mainly due to the fact that the only reason he was sweet talking me on February 2nd was to get illegal assurances of money from me, since he knew about my brain savant. I knew that he knew about my brain savant, which is obviously why I started ignoring him in 2025, because the man who used to call me once every 5 years was now trying to call me every single day. right now I had to block his number right before my birthday, only because I knew for a fact that he would try to contact me on my birthday. He still he still had his kids message me on my birthday, only due to the greed for money. And the only reason I didn't have his number blocked before then was due to the fact that every time he would be caught lying, he would go into a panic that my brain savant's about to get freed, and then he would start calling and messaging me like a frantic maniac in order to try to get illegal assurance of money. On May 2nd, 2026, 2 months ago, at 12:48 p.m., he was caught lying again, and he frantically started calling and messaging me. Someone in the government on their side basically told him, if you call him and message him like a frantic maniac every single time you're caught lying, the courts are going to know that this is all about money, and they're going to know that the only reason you're calling and texting and messaging him every single time you get caught lying, after getting caught lying, literally saying that Hassan is a bad person, and then getting caught after you get caught lying every single time, you're calling that same Hassan and frantically messaging and calling him over and over again, the courts are going to know that you're enviously trying to lock up his brain savant using this lie that you just gotten caught lying with, and that you're greedily trying to get illegal assurance of the money by calling him every single time you get caught lying. May 2nd, 12:48 p.m., May 2nd, 2026, at 12:48 p.m. was when he got caught lying last time, and he was told by someone from his side, of law enforcement, that if you do this, what's going to end up happening is the courts are obviously going to know that this is all about money, and that every single time you get caught lying, all you do is you call him and beg him, the same person whom you got caught lying against, claiming that he's a really bad person, that same person you're calling frantically like a frantic maniac to try to sweet talk him every single time you get caught lying. Coincidentally, at that exact moment, you will look like a liar and someone who's filled with extreme envy of his brain savant money and extreme greed as soon as you think that you got caught lying and his brain savant's going to get freed anyways. Someone from his side of law enforcement basically told him that. And after May 2nd, there was no point in me letting my phone stay unlocked, so I blocked his number before my birthday, and he still had one of his kids message me on my birthday. That's how greedy this man is. The person basically trying to sell his own sisters for basically illegal assurance of money. He was told February 11th at 3:17 a.m. sending a porn star's picture with your sister first name on it, open invitation for incest in exchange for illegal assurance of money. That didn't stop him with his 5-foot long beard. March 7th, he sends it to me 3 times, that same exact picture, just to try to get illegal assurance of money. This disgusting man with this 5-foot long beard, he can't claim that this is some sort of a joke with his 5-foot long beard. No, he sends me sexually explicit pictures of his sister Afreen on March 10th, 2026, 3 days after March 7th. On that day and every single day afterwards, to try to get illegal assurance of the money, only to try to check to see if he could get any of the brain savant money that he knows my mother would get, and he wouldn't get a single penny out of. So basically, on February 2nd, what ended up happening is, as soon as he hangs up the phone and tries to sweet talk me, the entire conversation, I get on my laptop and I type up right away that after sweet talking Hassan on February 2nd, he goes right to calling the court in a rage of anger, claiming that Hassan was a very bad person. How did I know this? Even though he was sweet talking me, calling me by my baby name the entire time on February 2nd, due to the fact that I wanted him to say, I want this much money when your brain savant gets freed. He wanted me to give him illegal assurance of money without him even having to ask. We both knew what each of us wanted. I wasn't gonna fall for. I'm not gonna be put into pressure into saying you'll get what the money you want. I'm not that stupid. I want him to say himself, I want this much money. he's not willing to say that because he knows that he's going to look guilty, and the courts are going to find out that that this entire thing is over money. So basically, I didn't fall for it. I didn't get put into pressure. He wasn't able to blackmail me into saying that you'll get the amount of money that you want, don't worry, or something like that. I'm not that stupid. And he didn't fall for saying, I want this much money after your brain savant gets freed on February 2nd. So literally 15 days later, on February 17th at 3:02 a.m., a government informant is speaking with him. And the government informant basically informs him that, look, we're going to let his brain savant get freed anyways. And he obviously says, well, let me make my videos for the government. And the government informant says, no, that's not going to work because the government already knows that you've been running after money way too many times. And so that's not going to work. They're not going to watch your videos. The government informant then goes, all right, fine. I got to hang up. I got to go now. And right when he's about to go, he goes, my dad, the greedy farmer, goes, no, wait. You're going to let his brain savant get freed? And the government informant obviously says, yeah. And then he says, all right, well, then here's my list. And he puts in his list, $25 million Rolls Royce. All right, those things cost like $500,000, 8.9 million euro mansion among his big list of things. Now his motive is out. And there's absolutely nothing that he can do about it. So basically, yeah. So now he's pissed off that his motive is out. He's already asked me in front of the government and the courts for money when my brain savant gets freed, clearly showing without any reasonable doubt that this man knew about my brain savant potential and that artificial intelligence that marked it as the most rare and profitable in the world. And there is absolutely nothing that he could do about it to go back. So now he tells law enforcement, he's like, on February 19th, 2 days later, he's like, keep harassing him. Keep asking him, I want the 8.9 million euros. I want that money. Keep annoying him. Keep asking him over and over again. Now he's secret's out now. Like, you can't go back. You can't be like, let me refine this time real quick and not ask for the money. So now that he's asked for the money and he's seen my response being, even after all that pressure, all those false testimonies, I saw the money amount on my YouTube. I looked at it for a second. I was just like, tell him I said, no way, not one red cent will he get from me, never. So now he goes into a frenzy. The guy goes, panics, he goes crazy, he's yelling, screaming out of anger. He tells you, law enforcement, keep harassing him. Keep putting it out there. I'm going to narrate in the trial against him. Keep putting those money amounts in there. 8.9 million euros. And they put the 8.9 million euros on my YouTube on the morning of February 19th, 19 times in one morning. They put 8.9 million euros 19 times in one morning, only due to the fact that he went into a state of extreme anger due to realizing that I gave him a hard no as soon as I saw the money amount. He thought that because I'd gone through so much pressure and all these false testimonies, I knew his first false testimonies were caught. I'm not stupid, okay? As soon as I read that text on February 11, 12:22 a.m., it said, so nice to hear from you after so long. It's 22 minutes past midnight. Okay, there's no nice hearing that occurred. February 10th, we were arguing in court. Not very nice. I told the court he was a pathological liar and he was saying all kinds of lies against me. And so not very nice. So I just read that text on February 11th at 12:22 a.m. I'm just like, so nice to hear from you after so long. Like, oh, so that's what happened. I put my phone down, went right back to watching TV. Obviously, he'd gotten caught lying, and then it was confirmed. He sent me porn star's picture with their sister's name on it. I was like, no, you might as well just say it straight out. I got caught lying for the second time, Hassan. The government informant was told about everything. We had it all planned out, but I got caught lying. Well, anyways, yeah, he went into a state of extreme anger after February 17, mainly due to the fact that he realized that that he'd already given away his main motive, which was money. Since money transfer ads are one thing. When you make a list for Santa Claus and you're like $25 million Rolls Royce, 8.9 million euro mansion, all these things on there, there's no going back on that. And especially if the other person, me, gives you a hard no as soon as I hear it, I'm like, no. tell him not one red cent, then obviously when he gets that answer, he can't rewind it back and be like, no, I don't want the money. Like, it's too late now. So now he tells law enforcement, he's like, keep putting it on there. 8.9 million euros. Put it on his TV all day long. So that's what law enforcement does. Thankfully that he's using law enforcement for all this. So the courts could just ask, what is this? What happened? So yeah, he asked me for that over and over again. Now, the thing about my dad, the degree prisoner, and law enforcement is law enforcement's given him a lot of false testimonies to be trying to make against me, and only to lock up my brain savant because he knew we never got along. And in 2025, when he was calling me continuously, he got the message pretty quickly when I started ignoring his calls. He wasn't going to beg at that time, because mainly due to the fact that, yeah, he's not going to beg me and degrade himself in front of me and my mother like that after he used to beat her every single day. So he got the message pretty quickly, and he hung up the phone, like as if he didn't call back again. And instead what he ended up doing was he started blackmailing me through law enforcement right away. But as soon as June 28, 2025, last year, I won my case. He was begging me all day and night long, calling my sister on my birthday, saying that he's thinking that it's a baby son born today, and telling my sister that he cries on his free time thinking about me. Man, he's really obsessed with money, is he not? So basically, yeah, the money thing has literally come out by now. There's no hiding it. Obviously, he was all about money, and that's the only reason that he was doing everything. That is no secret whatsoever. And so right now, he was basically saying on July 7th that, oh, he can't do this. He cannot do this. He's not going to be able to do this. He can't do this. Like, use my brain savant to get my first work done, which is Zero Tolerance Coffee. Even though artificial intelligence has marked my brain savant as the most rare and profitable in the world, multiple artificial intelligence tests have proven that I am the new Rain Man. Kim Peek might have been the last one, and yes, he's alive right now, and that's really nice. But I'm the new Rain Man, okay? I have instantaneous photographic memory. I also have innovation and focusing. I will get my Zero Tolerance Coffee done in 30 days, and that is the reason why law enforcement's been obsessed with me ever since they found out about it, despite law enforcement doing absolutely nothing since 2001 except for running sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws, due to which they had to run their sex scheme for Uncle Joey at the November 2023 funeral, like as if Uncle Joey was a sitting governor, providing him with protocol, top-notch intelligence on my whereabouts, telling Uncle Joey to text me to take away the baby I was babysitting, to force me to go to the funeral so they could videotape me with Uncle Joey being the nice uncle from Full House. That's why they call him Uncle Joey. So yeah. So basically, as soon as law enforcement finds out about my brain savant, they go crazy over me. We know this for a fact, since law enforcement's done absolutely nothing except for run sex schemes and money fraud. Money fraud, by the way, which they only stopped running 2 months ago after the government got on their back really hard. Like, you have to stop this right now. So basically, yeah, as soon as they found out about my brain savant, they went crazy over me to try to frame me one way or another. And the gameplay that was be played for all their framings would be exactly the same. So basically, they would take a crime, like the wedding crime that their own BFFs like Assad would be involved in. They would try to put my name in there, and then they would try to frame me for it. Now, the thing that they didn't know was the entire law enforcement knew that they were obsessed with me, and that they were obsessed with me due to my autistic brain savant. So there were good people in there, and the good people were listening in. Basically, law enforcement that were trying to frame me right before they tried to frame me in end of November 2023 for the wedding incident, basically revealed that they knew for a fact I had nothing to do with the wedding incident. It was their own BFS like Assad or Uncle Joey that committed the crime, or Bushra Akhtar who would commit the crime, and that law enforcement would work for them by covering over the crime, and now they wanted to frame me for it, only due to finding out about my brain savant, becoming extremely envious of it. So yeah, yeah, so that is pretty much what happened over there. Now, the thing about it is, that is what happened. So now law enforcement is given two choices. Either You can narrate in this trial, or you can run your sex and money fraud. It makes no sense. Entire world is watching this case, and it makes no sense. Law enforcement wants to say that it's my fault that Uncle Joey, who was adult supervising me till the moment he was caught with his online chat, and you could check the conversation with my mother from Russia, you would know about that. Till that moment, Uncle Joey was adult supervising me. He might have said something considered bad around me as a child, and that it's my fault as a child that he said that. But then law enforcement is saying it's not law enforcement's fault, that law enforcement's been running sex teams with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001 and money fraud with everyone else, and that they've been running sex teams with Uncle Joey as well, that it's not their fault as adults that they've been doing this for years and years. So of course told law enforcement straight out. It's sad enough as it is that you've been doing this since 2001. But in order to narrate in the trial against Hassan, you have to stop doing this. The money fraud and the sex schemes both have to stop if you want to narrate in this trial against Hassan, because you can't claim that it's Hassan's fault that what he was being adult supervised by Uncle Joey after his mother had already spoken with law enforcement only temporarily and only till Hassan gained the slightest bit of mental intelligence as a child, that it's his fault that Uncle Joey said something bad around him as a child, but it's not your fault as law enforcement for running sex schemes with Uncle Joey for years and years, for an example. So you have to either choose. You want to run sex schemes, Uncle Joey, and you want to run money fraud, or do you want to narrate in this trial? So law enforcement basically said, we're going to do both. We're going to narrate and we're going to run our sex and money fraud. What we'll do is we'll get other people to narrate for us. Now, they got my dad, the greedy farmer, and his farmer sisters to narrate, but every single false testimony that law enforcement's made till now, the 4 that they made with my dad, the greedy farmer, and his favorite sister so far, with the one from 2023, the wedding incident, that makes it 5 false testimonies. All 5 of them have the same gameplay. Law enforcement would use one of their own BFFs, like Uncle Joey said, or someone else who would have committed the crime. They'd put my name in there, and then in the end, right before they'd be trying to frame me, they get caught confessing, like how they got caught confessing right before November 20th. Right before the end of 2023 with the wedding crime. Same thing happened with November 20th. Right before I went to Russia, law enforcement knew that they were fabricating November 20th against me. Same gameplay. One of their own BFFs would commit the crime or do something bad. They put my name in there, and then they claim that it's Hassan's fault, that it was Hassan committing the crime and not one of their own BFFs. And that's what happened on November 20th. That's exactly what they did, and that's exactly what happened. In the end, they got caught confessing to the government informant that everything was completely fabricated. Same as the wedding incident from 2023. These were the first 2. Then you had 3 more, with the 5th one right now, just recently caught with Ibrahim, the greedy farmer, sending me the blackmail price tag from Miami, Florida, letting me know that he's just been caught with the last 5th false testimony. That was the 4th one by my dad, the greedy farmer, and his farmer sisters. So yeah. So basically, a whole lot of lies and false testimonies that these people basically had against me, but the gameplay was always the same. They had the exact same gameplay for each and every single one of those lies. Take one of the crimes that our own BFFs commit, like Uncle Joey or Assad, blame Hassan for it. They did it on the wedding incident at the end of 2023, and then they got confessing right before they tried to frame me. They did it for November 20th that they knew about before I even went to Russia. So they were all involved in November 20th, and then they got confessing to the government informant. The following 3 after November 20th, 2025, all had the same gameplay, and they got confessing or something else like that where they were caught. So there are 5 total false testimonies against me. So now law enforcement tried the same exact gameplay for all of them. Okay, so, but the thing about it is just the fact that on July 7th, law enforcement, due to getting rejected by these girls, having Junaid get so badly rejected, having the police call on him every other day, basically what ended up happening was July 7th, law enforcement had my dad, the greedy farmer, claim the same thing. He can't do this. He's not going to be able to make millions and billions of dollars using a brain savant. He can't do this, blah, 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 blah. Right after he says this, July 7th, June 24th brain savant test is reanalyzed, overanalyze basically, and they find out that my brain savant powers from August 9, 2022, with the air jogging lord was hundreds of times more powerful than normal human beings can ever imagine it being. On top of that, June 24th, my ears being unlocked, like how it was done on April 22nd, 2025, found out that those ears being unlocked increases the powers, making it thousands of times more powerful than normal human beings could ever imagine having in terms of instantaneous photographic memory, focusing, and innovation, clearly proving from facts and evidences the fact that if I'm doing more than 1,000 pages of something extremely dry like Aaron Ball's medicinal chemistry every day, then in 30 days I'd have more than 30,000 pages. If I have more than 30,000 pages, along with innovation being a superhuman power, obviously I'm going to give my board exams for pharmacy. Put that aside, never even worry about that ever again. I'm going to come up with something new like zero tolerance coffee every single 30 days of my entire life. I'm not running for office. If he wants to go to news media and argue that November 20th was a real crime I committed, be my guest. See if I care. I couldn't care less. Okay. Yeah. So basically, July 7th, he's arguing this, and then this greedy man, my dad, the greedy framer, as soon as he sees the brain savant test from June 24th last month being overanalyzed, he goes, "Huh? You guys haven't overanalyzed? What does the result say? What does the result say?" And the result obviously said that I'd been telling the truth all along, and that my brain savant powers weren't air drugging his lord like how it was for 6 hours on August 9, 2022 was hundreds of times more powerful than normal humans, and that if my ears are let go of as well, like how it was on April 22nd, 2025, when these were all the way on the back of my head, on my brain on the inside was like this, just like zing, 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 zing. And if that happens, then it's thousands of times more powerful than normal humans. What did my dad, the greedy framer, do? He went into a state of extreme greed right away. And he goes, "What? That's what you found? All right, ask him ask him for my money. Ask him if I could get it." Obviously, he starts blackmailing me with price tags of money right away. Thankfully, he uses law enforcement to do this. So now there's no laughing, there's no questions, there's no arguing. The man who's been caught lying over and over again is now sending me blackmail price tags for millions of euros, knowing that this is highly illegal. Coincidentally, right after the brain savant test result are overanalyzed, clearly showing from facts and evidences that this man is doing this out of extreme greed to try to use government tools like a brain scanner, only to find out if he would get his illegal assurance of money or not. This psychotic, greedy man who needs some serious mental illness help. Let's look at the kind of things he sent me starting July 9th. 2026, as soon as that brain savant test is overanalyzed. Now, this one is his first one is his in dollars, but it has his nickname Mona written on it. Okay. And then the subsequent ones are all in euros. So this one is 6.2 million euros. Okay. All the subsequent ones are all in euros. Okay. This one is 10.9 million euros. 10.7 million euros right there. Okay. And then same thing. This psychopath won't stop. This is 2 million euros right over here. This one is 2 million euros. You can ask law enforcement. They'll tell you he asked to have these sent to me. He won't get a single penny out of it, but his extreme greed has been shown and seen. And now the evidence is there for the courts to see. All right, this one is 6.2 million euros. Okay, this one is 300,000 euros. This one is 300,000 euros. He put the first one with his name on there. This one is 75 million euros. The sociopath who thinks he's going to he thinks he already got away with all the lies. He used national security for his own private interest and private motives of selfishly trying to lock up my brain savant, only to make sure that my mother could not get any of the money he knows he won't get. And now he's been blackmailing me with price tags of millions of euros all day and night long, only to make sure that no one that he could try to use the brain scanner to see if I'm in enough pressure to be willing to give him any of this money or not. All right, this is 1.25 million euros. All of it in euros, all of it sent by him with law enforcement. All right, so in the end, he also uses these sympathy gaining things. I heard you struck my son, is what it says on here. There you go. Try to gain some sympathy from me to try to test to see with the brain scanner what the chances of him getting this money is. Absolutely 0% chance, not giving him a single penny. And he's not stupid enough to send me blackmail price tags unless he really thought that there was money involved in the millions of dollars to be benefiting off of. Obviously, because he's already been caught lying so many times, he's not going to ask law enforcement to blackmail me with these price tags if he didn't think that there was money involved. Now, the other thing that he might try to claim is that my pharmacy school GPA was not high enough. Well, the thing that you have to understand is the fact that law enforcement cannot say these things themselves. The reason they cannot say these things themselves is due to the fact that law enforcement themselves had my brain savant locked up the entire 5 years that I was in my overseas pharmacy school. They made sure that my brain savant could not get unlocked for even a minute by using these tools around my brain savant the entire time. And then on top of this, law enforcement used amnesia drugs on me to make sure that I failed my pharmacy school finals. And not only that, they used these drugs on me when I was trying to study to make sure that I could not even study for my pharmacy school finals. How do we know this? Due to the fact that in the last biochem exam that I took, law enforcement used so much amnesia drugs on me that I could not even remember how to spell my own name. After I mentioned this last biochem exam, law enforcement confessed themselves in court that they did in fact use severe amnesia drugs on me, due to which I could not even remember how to spell my own name in the last biochem exam. And they confessed in court that they used it in numerous other finals for my pharmacy school, and when I would be trying to prep for these finals, and they would inhibit me from being able to study for my exams, locking up my brain savant so that I wouldn't even know I had one until August 9th, 2022, when I was able to test it out for 6 hours in that flight, letting me know that I had a brain savant to begin with. Not only this, you also have to understand the fact that I was abused by my stepmother the entire time, who would puncture holes in my clothes, add acid to them so that my entire body would burn out in the heat. She would also not let my clothes go through the laundry, due to which I had ringworm infection. She would give me the food that's left there for serfs. Basically, there are people in third world countries that work at your house for about $20 a month. They're very poor, they don't get an education, and their kids don't get an education, due to which they all have to do this. It's extremely sad. And so they get these leftover food that people have in their houses. My stepmother would have these, and what she would end up doing is she would just yell at me and be like, "Are we animals? We're eating this food. You have to eat it too." So I would be given this food to eat every day. Basically, I had to go through all this abuse while I was in pharmacy school. Not the best condition, and law enforcement obviously would be be a witness if they were there and they were locking up my brain savant, like how I'm claiming they were, and if they were inhibiting me from being able to study. Obviously, I did not know about these tools till I came back with my college degree, and they started using it to hit me with it. But they were using the ear drugging from these tools while I was in overseas pharmacy school, and I knew something was up in the biochem exam at the end. And when I mentioned it, they confessed in court that not only did they force me to fail in the last biochem exam, but numerous ones. Not only this, law enforcement basically, yeah, they did all of this, and I had to go through all of these abuses while I was in my overseas pharmacy school. And I also had to like sleep on the side of the streets with lizards crawling all over the place in the end in order to get my overseas pharmacy school degree. And my dad, the greedy framer, was not willing to give me a place at that time. And now all day long he's like, come over to my house, come over to my house, come over to my house. The reason he says it now is because he knows there's money involved, obviously. He's playing this game all day and night long where he's used national security as his own private thing for using it to use the fear of people doing bad things in order to try to frame me multiple times. He's failed every single time. He's gotten caught lying every single time. He's even used his own kids to try to make false testimonies and lies against me, and he's gotten caught with every single lie that he made against me, thankfully. So he's basically tried to use national security to try to lock up my brain savant, knowing that I had an extremely rare and profitable brain savant that artificial intelligence had marked as the most rare and profitable in the world, giving me the highest probability of becoming extremely rich in this world, more than any other human being on this planet. If you have someone else who has the same capabilities that artificial intelligence has marked my brain savant as having, then you can say that this person has it as well, Hassan. But literally right now, I am the other Kim Peek Rain Man. And not only am I Kim Peek Rain Man, as artificial intelligence has proven, but that I also have innovation and focusing as well. Law enforcement has obviously run their mouths a lot of times. This time they weren't able to, and they got my dad, the greedy framer, to do it. But you saw it on July 7th this month when he was running his mouth for law enforcement, claiming that my brain savant didn't have the potential capabilities, this or that. And on July 9th, by the time the June 24th brain savant test was overanalyzed, he told law enforcement, ask him, is he going to give me any of the money or not? Because he got really greedy. He got extremely greedy. He found out about the same brain savant, due to which Ibrahim, the greedy framer spokesperson, asked me if I was willing to marry his sister or not. Basically a Ponzi scheme. That man, Ibrahim, who could not let go of me due to his extreme envy that his mother had confessed to the government informant that they hold against me. She confessed to the government informant that she holds extreme envy against me. She confessed to the government informant. Despite that confession, Ibrahim could not let go of the fact that he could run a Ponzi scheme on me for money for his drug addiction problem. Okay. So yeah, basically the thing about law enforcement is they're not going to argue against my brain savant themselves. They're going to get someone like my dad, the greedy framer, to argue, mainly because law enforcement has run their mouths before. Okay, like my dad, the greedy framer, was July 7th. On July 9th, you saw what he was doing. He was all over the money on July 9th. So law enforcement, last time, around October 2025, I was sitting in my living room and I was just brainstorming, and I thought, I'm going to buy, they were losing their case, like they always are. At that time, they weren't making false testimonies, but they were losing their case. So I just told them straight out, I was like, I'm going to buy the Caesar machine. It's called like the CZUR machine. It's sold on Amazon. You convert textbooks into PDF, and I would just brainstorming. I was like, I'm going to buy an SD card. I already have a laptop and a tablet, so all I'm going to do is put those textbooks into an SD PDF format, and then I'm just going to return the textbooks as soon as I buy it, and then that's how I'm going to do it. And I was like, I'm going to work on zero tolerance coffee first. I'm going to get that done in 30 days, and I'm going to work on this, work on that. And I was just brainstorming out loud in my living room, and law enforcement said, they're just like, obviously, like always, they're just like, if you heard what he just said, you've just been scammed. So that kind of got to me, and I was just like, you know what the truth is as well as I do. You know why you're obsessed with me. You know what you've been doing since 2001. You're running your sex schemes and money fraud. Their money fraud literally just stopped 2 months ago after the government got on their back, and their sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws are still ongoing. So I told them October 2025, I was like, look, I'll make you a deal, okay? Since you're running your mouth so much and you think that it's not about my brain savant, I'll meet you in Moscow, Russia, since I know for a fact you're never going to do the 30-minute test over here. But since you're running your mouth in front of the entire world is going to watch you from Moscow, Russia for 25 days, whether you have whether you can walk the walk, like you're doing talking the talk right now, if you can walk the walk or not. You'll be given 25 days in Moscow, Russia. The entire world who's listening to you run your mouths right now is going to watch you for 25 days in Moscow, Russia, because we all know they wouldn't do the 30-minute test over here. So for 25 days, I'll meet you in Moscow, Russia. We'll see if you can walk the walk like how you're talking the talk right now. And if you can't, then the entire world who just saw you run your mouths right now is going to watch you for 25 days, pissing your pants, cowering behind a simple 30-minute test. I told law enforcement that. Obviously, as soon as they heard that from me, they were just running their mouths a second ago. So they couldn't be like, no, we're not going to do the challenge, because they were running their mouths like crazy. So they just stayed quiet. And then I went to Moscow, Russia. They were so scared. When I went to Moscow, Russia, they did the little 1-minute test on November 14th. And guess what? After that, they were so scared. Not one word. Scam artist, liar, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. For 25 days, I sat there by the hotel window, staring into the 3 Golden Globes of the Kremlin. Not one word out of these mice, not one squeal. Okay, the same people who were running their mouths in front of the entire world were pissing their pants in front of the entire world for 25 days. Same exact people who were running their mouths in front of the entire world in October 2025, saying that I was a scam artist, liar, this, that, blah, blah, blah. In front of the entire world, these people were running their mouths, and in front of the entire world for 25 days, because they wouldn't do the challenge in the US. They would never do it. In front of the entire world, these same people who were running their mouths in October 2025, claiming that I was a scam artist, this and that, blah, 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 were pissing their pants for 25 days. I gave them a challenge, okay? I told them straight out, okay? Just like how it was in that movie, The King Henry goes and tells the Prince of France, like, you sound like a guy who's really up for battle. Well, why don't we go against each other? We'll find out exactly who is going to win this duel. And I told law enforcement straight out, you've been claiming that this is nothing about anything corrupt and that you've really been running an investigation, when in fact the truth is all you've done since 2001 is run sex games with Uncle Joey's in-laws, due to which you have to give him governor's protocol and provide him with top-notch intelligence. And not only that, you've been running your money fraud, due to which that literally has not stopped till 2 months ago. So obviously, you're only obsessed with me since you found out about my brain savant due to extreme envy and sex addiction and no other reason why. But if you're claiming that has nothing to do with anything, and that you're not obsessed with not being able to see it perform out in the open for even 30 minutes, and that it doesn't even exist, then I'll see you in Moscow, Russia. The entire world who just heard you run your mouth right now is gonna see for 25 days if you can walk the walk when they've heard you talk the talk. All right, so I'll meet you in Moscow, Russia. I went to Russia letting them know what the challenge was. I went there, I sat there for 25 days. You know, as Caesar liked to say, Vini Vidi Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I went over to Moscow, Russia. I sat there for 25 days, staring in the 3 Golden Globes of the Kremlin for 25 days, all day, night long. These people were a no-show, okay? One little 1-minute long test, okay? And they ran away like a bunch of scared little girls. We cheated using artificial intelligence to tell them in the 1-minute test what would happen in the 30-minute test. And basically, artificial intelligence told them straight out, this guy is Kim Peek Rain Man. He's the new Rain Man, and he will run you over all over the hill, like up and down the hill. You do the 30-minute challenge with him. We know this for a fact because when the results came out December 10th, they had a girl follow me around who hit the back of my car, due to which I ended up in the emergency room. So yes, I am Kim Peek Rain Man. And except for that, I also have innovation and focusing as well. And so you got to remember, even in that movie, The King, the Prince of France refuses to duel King Henry despite having overwhelming numbers and running his mouth the entire time. But at the end of the day, when he's done wasting his entire army, all that taxpayer money and time that didn't have to be wasted, he's forced to duel King Henry in the end. And he's standing there in a pile of mud, unable to even stand up. He basically telling everyone what their fate looks like. They look like they're losing their case right now. They only have about 2 narrators who haven't been caught begging me to marry their sister or their daughter or sending me blackmail price tags for millions of dollars or millions of euros. Literally only 2 people, Assad and Bushra Akhtar, and they're both guilty as it gets, okay? I won't have that much of a hard time proving it. We all know that. And the fact of the matter is, even in that movie, The King, at the end, when the court case is done, the battle is basically won. The battle is done. The court case is done. The Prince of France is forced to go and duel King Henry. Being a coward that he is, he was really able to stand in the mud, unable to even stand there in the mud, or be able to hold his sword. They won't have artificial intelligence to help him out after they lose their case, okay? It's been an incredibly corrupt case. Everyone has been caught lying, enviously, or begging me to marry their sister, or begging me to marry their daughter. My dad, the greedy farmer, begging me to commit incest with his sisters. Not just one, but all three of them. February 11th through 17 a.m., he's told that this is an open advertisement for incest. March 7th, it doesn't stop him, nor does the 5-foot-long beard that he's grown to try to show people how religious he is, does that stop him on March 7th when he asked me 3 times to commit incest with his sister Farah, or on March 10th, and every single day afterwards when he sends me sexually explicit pictures of a woman resembling his own sister Afrin on March 10th. Every single day afterwards, does his 5-foot-long beard stop him from doing so? No, his greed for money was incredible. And so, incredibly corrupt trial. Nothing disrespectful towards the honorable judges or the people of this court, but these people are incredibly corrupt, okay? But law enforcement has to understand the fact that they're running away from this simple 30-minute brain savant test that literally proves whether they're obsessed with my brain savant or not, obsessed with not being able to see it perform out in the open, after it's been made clear that all they've done since 2001 is run sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws, due to which they have to give Uncle Joey a governor's protocol, provide him with top-notch intelligence, like we saw in November 2023 at the funeral, and running money fraud that had still been ongoing till only 2 months ago due to the government stopping them very forcefully. It's a known fact that the only reason they're obsessed with me is due to my brain savant. And despite me never doing anything, never being involved in the wedding crime that their own BFFs like Assad, Uncle Joey, and all their other BFFs would be involved in, me never even being seen in any settings after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, just as my mother had promised law enforcement that she would do when I was an 11-year-old child, and that little bit of time when I was even any setting where any of law enforcement, they're not letting me talk. Any of law enforcement BFFs could have said anything bad around me as a child was only after my mother had gotten permission from law enforcement for me to be there. So yeah, very different from my mother and her fulfilling the promise she made to law enforcement the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, and not due to me being tipped off or her, since I wasn't the one who tipped everyone off. The sex schemes and money fraud, which will prove that it was law enforcement who tipped everyone off. So basically that is what happened. They never fulfilled the promise they made to their country. My mother fulfilled the promise she made to law enforcement the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity. Law enforcement never fulfilled the promise they made to their country. Their money fraud was stopped by the government only 2 months ago, using huge amounts of force, and their sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws still ongoing right now. I bet if Uncle Joey came back to Maryland right now, he'd be given the same governor's protocol he's always been given, provided with top-notch intelligence. Again, yeah, why would I run for office or anyone if this is the level of corruption that's there? So yeah, but law enforcement has to remember the fact that even in that movie, The King, at the end of the day, the prince, the cowardly French prince, is forced to duel King Henry, and he's not able to stand in mud with his sword in the end. He loses that duel, obviously. You're going to lose this case one way or another. All your narrators have been caught being extremely envious, asking me for money when my brain savant, they would think that my brain savant's about to get freed. They've all been caught asking me to marry their sister or their daughter. My dad, the greedy farmer, even asked me to commit incest with his sisters. February 11th, he was told that this is open advertisement for incest. You cannot do this with your 5 foot long beard grown to show that you're a very religious man. He still tried it March 7th 3 times for his sister. Then he tried it March 10th, sending me sexually explicit pictures of a woman resembling his sister Offering on March 10th, and every single day afterwards through law enforcement. So you can ask them. Law enforcement needs to understand the fact that after this case is over, they will have to duel me one way or another. They will have to do the brain savant test. They cannot run away from it forever. And when they do, they won't have artificial intelligence to help them cheat in the 1 minute long test before they close everything down and not let it be seen out in the open. They will have to do it at the end of the day. So yeah, you can hide all you want, but at the end of the day, you have to show the truth. Just letting you know. Thank you.